Hello, everybody. Today, I will be talking about censorship on the professional level, social networking, and the workplace. Just to give you a preview of what I'm going to be presenting, um, I will first start off with what is censorship in the workplace. I will give some examples of censorships. What are the claims of the employees, some real life examples, as well as the claims of the employers and some real life examples. And of course, I will sprinkle in moral questions to be asked. First, what is workplace censorship? Well, workplace censorship includes many different forms. There's, of course, checking applicants' Facebook profiles, monitoring employees' Twitter feeds, even blocking particular websites on a company devices. What exactly do the companies fear by implementing these policies? Well, from their point of view, employees run the risk of posting negative remarks about their job or coworkers that could hurt the business. Just a real world example, a PR executive tweeted, "I'm going to Africa. I hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding. I'm white." She was quickly fired. The company claimed that she was a bad representation of the PR firm. The PR firm is something that has to do with public relations, and this is definitely not a good idea for someone that's involved in public relations. So they thought that it cast a bad light over their company, and that's why they fired. Is this right to fire someone over a joke like this? Or does it show insensitive and racist undertones? Employees also run the risk of displaying company's confidential information. An example of this is the Standard Hotel employee who was fired for leaking footage of an alleged incident between Solange and Jay-Z. One person loses his job for breaching the security policies of the hotel and recording the confidential CCTV video. That man was fired. But what are the employees' fears? There's, of course, wrongful termination. A nice little girl in the UK was fired for posting that her job at Eval Marketing and Logistics was boring on her Facebook page. Well, someone goes in for an internship at the age of 16 and writes that their job is boring is definitely the lightest form of social networking interactions as it pertains to their workplace. But she was fired. Just a couple of questions to keep in mind. Is it ethical to fire an employee for these kinds of postings? Is it ethical to fire an employee for any type of posting? Interesting. What about the employee's point of view? Well, a study conducted by AT&T of over 2,500 employees found that social networking in the workplace might actually be beneficial. 65% said social networking made their colleagues and themselves more efficient workers. 46% found that it gave them more ideas and made them more creative. 38% found that social networking helped them to gain knowledge and come up with solutions to problems. 36% reported that social networking allowed them to collect knowledge about employees and customers. And 32% asserted that sites created team building opportunities. So when it comes to the ethical questions of if social networking should be monitored, maybe you also have taken into the account the good it's possibly doing, as exhibited in this study. Now we get to the real stuff. What does the amendment say about this? Well, from the looks of it, the First Amendment, by the actual number, seems to be the most important one. And it's freedom of speech. Okay? But in this country, the U.S. employment law gives big power to companies as it relates to freedom of expression. There's a lot of advantages employers have that inhibit and intimidate workers from expressing themselves freely through social networking. So even though we might think that we have freedom of expression in this country and are able to say whatever we want, we still have to keep in mind that we have jobs. And with these jobs come restrictions. They might not be legal, but they are still there. And since most people in this country have a job, freedom of expression and freedom of speech isn't as clear cut as we think. There were many court rulings that supported, didn't support, confused, and just basically mushed up everything that has to do with social networking in the workplace. They're blurred lines. First of all, mo technology comes mo problems. Okay, we're in a new sector now. These technologies have come in the last 5 to 10 years. So with new technology comes new laws and uncharted territory. And with this uncharted territory comes confused judges. Simple as that. Second of all, there are many contradictory rulings. On different states constitute different things. Certain laws have protected employees from postings and have been sued correctly for wrongful termination, while other states there have been court cases where it supported the employers. So it's hard to really understand what you're exactly allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. There are also unclear boundaries. Is it okay if it's a private post and only your friends can see it? Does that make it any more wrong than being a public post and everyone can see it? If you have a private post, are you allowed to say basically whatever you want? Because you're not publicizing it to the world. These are questions to keep in mind. In the meantime, while we sort out these problems, while the judges get off their butt and actually start figuring out what the Constitution rules, I think we should start educating employees. Number one, you got to think before you post, specifying what is considered negative information is, showing employees examples, explaining possible damages this activity may cause. And this is not to say that it's ethical to monitor employees' social networking pages. This is just good old-fashioned advice, because right now we are not as protected. So in the meantime, which probably could be forever, we should be careful about what we write, unless we don't want our jobs. It's a little scary. There's a line you have to cross. Now, what exactly should we do when posting? Keep your online posts general. I'll give you an example. Bad. I hate working at Home Depot. I'm good. I had a long day at work today. Another example. Instead of saying my boss is an ass, you could just say some people just need to be nice. Keep in mind that the fact that you would actually have to change what you're saying is a big red flag. This is based on literature that companies have produced and given to their employees on how to talk about their companies and how to vent their frustrations. This is censorship. As I'm doing this presentation, my opinion is slowly forming, and I hope yours is too. There are many steps companies should take while the court system works out the kinks. First, have to consider where to draw the line between free speech and slander. Ask ourselves, is there any precedent for considering these ethical questions regarding social networking in the workplace? These are all things that we all have to struggle with. And I hope everybody on their new jobs after they graduate keep these things in mind and be careful, because someone's always watching, and that's the unfortunate part.